How to be an online strongman, or online big man, whatever word you want to use. Be a big man online without having to do a single rep. And that's the title of this video. And the inspiration for this video came from real life observations for me. A lot of this is happening in social media accounts around here. Like, I'm sure it happens all over the place. But I am a firm believer in the humiliate local motto. So I'm just dealing with the phenomena that I've seen coming up around here. When we look at people's whatever online presence website they belong to. How to be an online strongman without doing a single rep. And that's the part I want to emphasize on. In the thumbnail that you saw, going to get to that very soon, so it's not a misleading thumbnail. But first, I got to define what you actually came in here to see. And this is all based on something called the static weight picture feat, which I'll just abbreviate to SWPf for the rest of this presentation. What is an SWPf, a static weight picture feat? It starts every time with a pile of random steel and iron, usually in a gym setting, a gym selfie still shot. And the person makes a claim that they're going to set some new record or some lift that they're doing for that day. But there's no evidence that the weight actually moved. And this phenomenon seems to be rising all over the place. So what I've done is based on the things that I've seen. I'm actually going to help you guys make effective, if you really want to sink low enough to go that route, or just to know what you're dealing with, to identify these people who are being these online strongmen and they're not actually accomplishing anything. So this is a tutorial, 10-step, step-by-step tutorial on how you could do this yourself and what's going through these people's minds when they do it. And based on the baffling, I guess other people just aren't noticing, or they're choosing not to notice. That's something you have to figure out for yourself. Anyway, the baffling number of upvotes and comments of affirmation that I'm continually seeing underneath these social media posts, the only conclusion I can come to is that the SWPf approach to training seems to work exceptionally well. So, without further delay, step 1. Take a random picture of dormant plates on a bar minding their own business, such as what we see here. Note that dormant dumbbells or a pin in the cable stack are also fair game. You can choose to stand beside the weight or even be touching it if you're feeling really bold. However, most evidence, at least that I've seen, shows that one's actual presence isn't necessary. Then after you're done that, you proceed to step 2. Upload this picture of yours on your photoshopped page in Fakebook, Instasham, Snapscat, or whatever social media website of nonsense you use personally to compensate for being a failure in real life. Always, always, always make sure to have some motivational quotes from a well-known fitness or bodybuilding, powerlifting, musician, sports ball, historical, whatever figure, in your permanent timeline to make you look deep, insightful, and connected. Even though you've never met that person, and they have no idea that you exist, and they wouldn't want to know that you exist. In this case, dead references are probably better, as then the well-known figure usually won't be able to publicly humiliate your posterior after you name drop them. Step 4, add the header text under the picture you've uploaded, making an emphatic statement about what specific lift day the photo is supposed to represent. And make sure to be enthusiastic. Remember that SWPfs are for the ruled by feelings impaired. Now looking back at this I could have used many more exclamation points, but unfortunately for me, I'm an amateur, so I'll have to improve this for next time. Step 5, throw in some just like reference to a well-known fitness, bodybuilding, powerlifting, musician, sports ball, whatever, figure to add so-called weight to your post, even though you've never met that person and they have no idea that you exist and they don't want to know that you exist. Again, referencing the dead is probably preferred, the reason outlined in step 3. Next, step 6. Add a plethora of as many meaningless hashtags and tough emojis that you can think of, which do nothing except show how desperate you are to be the next big thing on that there TV, hoping to achieve the ever more increasing elusive 50 microminutes of fame. Step 7. Specifically add the degrading hashtag #GirlsLiftToo, if applicable, even though some women lift to, but I actually don't, is accurate. Now, in my specific case, personally, applicable is obviously not applicable, whether accurate or not, due to not being applicable due to certain inaccuracies, if you just look at my picture. So for my LiveSpace post, I'm going to remove this specific hashtag and just add another accurate and applicable one. There we go. Okay, so step 7 is now complete. Now for step 8. Under correct circumstances, steps 1 to 7 will be rendered absolutely less than worthless due to step 8, or rather, the absence of step 8. But I've continually seen firsthand that things definitely work differently in the fantastical glows of Pixelland. So step 8, provide absolutely zero evidence that the weight in your step 1 photograph uploaded to step 2 was actually lifted or even attempted to be lifted by you in the manner alluded to in step 3. Or I guess in any manner at all. In fact, there's also absolutely zero evidence that you were even the one who loaded that bar or inserted the cable stack pin in the photo to begin with. I mean, you could even just take a random picture of someone else's loaded bar if you're really lazy. Who knows? Maybe that dude is also prepping his own SWPf. So you could soothe your non-existent conscience in the thought that he too is committing fraud, even though you would actually be out frauding him now by committing mega fraud. But I mean, what difference does it really make though? Remember that social media needs no honor among thieves. But there's no need to worry, your ADHS fan base is just as corrupt as you, so they're not going to care anyway. All that effort was indeed worth it. So now it's time for the payday. Hit post publish, and then step 9, yeah baby, sit back and rejoice. Your fellow neurotypical liars are going to give your existence a purpose through meaningless upvotes consisting of +1s, heart symbols, please date me proposals, or whatever comments of rubbish that only first world goofballs with too much free time and ease of life could possibly come up with. And of course, in you, that's going to produce step 10. Become progressively more arrogant, combative when disciplined, and a general bigger pain in the ass to deal with because you think social media validation now makes you some infallible, godlike authority on, well, everything. And there you have it, gentlemen. Simple but effective. The 10-step glowing tutorial on how to be an online big man without actually having to do anything. Brought to you in Pixelland because the uploader of this video apparently has too much step 9 free time on his hands. So whether it's a quote-unquote deadlift day that never moves, or 225 pounds on the pins in a seated shoulder press machine, or a lat day with the pin in the bottom of the cable stack, or an approval-seeking bro posing in the preacher curl bench, holding a cambered bar with a 45 on each side in the top pose position. It's always the top position for a reason. What we are witnessing is the magical wonder known as the SWPf. To conclude, one thing I have learned from my online observations and many earlier years inside the local global gym chains around here, when being successful at lifting weights doesn't require any legitimacy, you may as well go all the way. This concludes the tutorial.